What's up, collective fam? It's your boy Tony Tourette, and this is Darkseid. Alright, everybody. We've got a McFarlane Toys Darkseid, so let's crack them open, shall we? These take a little bit longer sometimes because they have all these little doodads on the interior that keep the toy locked in. But you're going to get a look at it at the same time as I get a look at it. So bear with me for this unboxing. And I've been wanting to do more McFarlane toys. And oh, they never come out and want to stand up. Cheap plastic that they use, so we'll just set that down for a minute. For those of you who don't know, inside there's a card, you can see that there, and there's a base on the inside. So we're gonna pluck both of those out real quick so he has a place to stand up once we got him out. So bear with me, we'll speed through this at the end here. I kind of like how they do this, you know, how they encase the card, because nothing's going to happen to the card, but at the same time, you're kind of forced to rip apart the box in order to get it open. The same is true with the stand. So if you ever wanted to keep the box, and this, of course, has a little DC symbol right down there. I'm covering it with my finger. There you go. So there's that one. And then here is the card that it comes with. Darkseid. So straight out of the Justice League movies. The ultimate oppressor, Darkseid, lords over the nightmare planet Apocalypse, ruling through force and intimidation. One of the most powerful characters in the DC Comics, the evil despot can shoot deadly rays from his eyes known as Omega Beams. Seeking to eliminate all free will from the universe, Darkseid has conquered a multitude of worlds with his sights now set on Earth. Ooh. So set that on the side. You guys understand what you're supposed to do with this. Recycle. Okay. That being said, we now have to take out the little doodads and things, so let's do that. Some tape elements that you have to release his Triton thing. I don't know what exactly this is called. You guys who are more DC geek than I am, tell me if there is an actual name to this weapon, because I don't know it off the top of my head. So let's set that down. And as indicated, he's got some pinch points in here we've got to cut out. Ooh, those are easy though. Hey, if I'm lucky, that was the only one. Am I lucky? Is the question. I am lucky. I am lucky. Wow, they made him hurt here. Alright guys, so this, remember to recycle, is Darkseid from McFarlane Toys. Massive figure. I'm not entirely sure. I gotta repose him here. But let's take our first looks at him and then we'll talk about him together. So we're gonna sit him on the spin here and give you a full body spin and then we'll chop it up. Let's go. Alright, collective fam, I'm back. We've got it unopened and you've seen a full body spin. We get to talk about articulation and overall portrait and determine whether or not this one's worth the price of admission. I have some things that I like, some things that I don't. Let's get into it like right away. So I'm going to move this off. As we said, this serves as your sort of certificate of authenticity. You get one of these cards with the big action figures from McFarlane Toys. We're going to set that down. We will position that with him when we are putting him on the shelf next to the other DC characters. Let's take a good hard look at some of the things I don't like. Okay, first and foremost, I don't know what this weapon is called, but goodness McGribbon, people at McFarlane Toys, can we not get something with a little bit more rigidity? This thing was about as flimsy as it possibly could be. And really what annoyed me was, I'm going to try and move this forward so you guys can see the hands there, the hand placement. The hand is a closed fist on this side. And it made it very difficult to put this tool, this weapon, in it. Much less to hold. And you can see that there's a bend in it. Hopefully you guys can see that. There's a bend in this because it's just really soft plastic. Don't like that. I don't like the method of which that they had an expectation for you to put this in his hand, because it took a lot longer than you would give credit for. He's got two holes, one on either of his feet, if you guys can see that there. And that is meant just so you can put this little peg hole in his foot and help him to stand. Like most other action figures of this size, they don't stand without some really good assistance here. McFarlane Toys has figured out they only need to address one of those feet and he'll stand. So we don't have an expectation that once you got him set up the way you want, he's going to move a lot, but just keep in mind you're going to need this little guy down here in order to make sure he stands upright. When he's locked in place, he's good. Okay? Now, this is a pretty typical action figure, hinge and pin methods. And in this setup here, you know, there's a limited mobility to the arms, the shoulders, and such. This is the Darkseid from the Justice League of America. We're talking about the movie, Zack Snyder's movie. And not so much the Darkseid of our youth from the comic books. Why? The Darkseid from the youth of our comic books, I feel, has a larger helmet. And he's almost always wearing his chest plate. We don't see this naked chest outline. For me, anyway, I don't recall seeing it until the movie. Usually there's this whole armament that goes over Darkseid. And I don't see it here, but that's because he's in a stage of the film where it's been removed. He's obviously in fight mode here. And you can see this sort of concaved element to his chest all through this area here. Now, if you look at the armor plating that goes over top of it, what you'll find is that usually covers this area. So we're not used to seeing it. Give credit where credit's due. I think it matches the movie. What I don't like as much is the mobility of the figure. Look at where this is hinging right here. So this is the top part of his torso, and this is the bottom part of his torso down here. So this is the mobility of it. It'll slide left and right, but it sure does look a bit disjointed. You can see, like here, there's actually cavitation between the top part of the torso and the bottom part of the torso. And for me, that does diminish the action figure to some degree, because I'm constantly looking like, what's that black area underneath his space? He does have several great points of articulation, though, right? Don't want to beat it up entirely. It does look like the figure. You know it's Darkseid, so portrait wins. But mind you, I would still say this portrait is JLA, not specifically accurate to the comic books. You disagree with me? I disagree with you. I think it gets really close. But again, that's more of an issue that I have with the character from the comic book to the film adaptation, more than I have with this particular piece. All right. Putting this back down here, we have this piece of his, I forget what they call this armament piece that goes over here. And it's just like, it doesn't sit down. I don't know if it's meant to be up like that or not. But I know that when it was in the box, this is the way it came. So I don't know if it's just been malformed or that's the way it's supposed to be. Not the biggest fan. The flap on the back of him is also quite flimsy, but it's meant to be more of a cover my booty element here. But it just feels like a plastic, flimsy piece. The same is true on the front, but on the front, because I guess it's smaller, it's more rigid. Does that look weird with me doing that, guys? I'll stop now. Okay, and you can see now, look, this doesn't have any like lock-in places. Well, maybe it does. Maybe it does. So that you can put the character down. He's doing a full split here. Okay. Alright. Inside the portrait, I was looking at it hard. I mean, literally, piece for piece, they did match the movie really well. I love the level of wrinkles that they have into his whole body, not just his face, but take a harder look at the face there. I mean, there's a lot going on for that in terms of the detail level. And the inset of the white eyes just makes him look skeletal. So I do like that about it. I hate that you can see these pieces here. So like when I pull the arm apart, you see that? You can see the hinging piece right here. Can you guys check that out? I'm just, you know, I would almost rather there have been the vest over to cover those things. For me, a lot of this is suspension of disbelief. We also have movement of the feet that will help you stabilize. You see how I can lift the toes up here and here? So, but mobility is limited on these legs. So you're not going to get too much further back than that right there. Okay? Again, let's be real, guys. This is about posing. This is about making sure that it's at the right level of pose for wherever you're going to put it. I have no expectations that you're going to sit there and actually play with the toy. There's no portrait switch outs. There's no hand switch outs. There's no additional weaponry on him. He does sit rather tall. Let me get a tape measure here. And I will show you guys the overall height of him as he stands. Because it's important to know that, you guys. Because for those of us who are collectors and have lots of things, you got to make sure that your shelf space is going to accommodate your characters, right? So there he is sitting up. And here is the tape measure. So looking at the tape measure here, all told, the top of his head hits right around 9.5 inches. But if you have his arm holding the piece, this weaponry, it can go as high as 12 or maybe higher. It kind of depends where you put that piece. For me, I would give it 12 inches of head height clearance. On the base here, we're really talking about 4 inches long, and in the back here, we're talking about the spread being about 6 inches wide. Again, you can spread this out however you want. Clearly, he can be doing a full split. I just don't think that's how you guys are planning to have him on there. All right. So this is Darkseid from McFarlane Toys. He's got a juicy background. He is one of the biggest, baddest characters in all of the DC universe. He shoots lasers from his eyes, and they are called Omega Beams. I feel like maybe there's a missed opportunity here because that's one of those weapons that are sort of intrinsic to Darkseid. A lot like Cyclops. And you see Cyclops, almost every statue that you see him has some sort of like laser beam trying to shoot out. And maybe that's a missed opportunity there, or maybe his eyes should have been more a little glowing red. I guess I can forgive those things. I love the detail they put into his armor. I love how glossy it is. Let me turn this guy around just so you got where I'm not the only one staring at it and you guys can see it a little bit better. One hand is in a clench position so that he can hold the tool. The other hand is in sort of this ghoulish drop. It's not doing anything in particular. I suppose you can get it to be pointing at you a little further away, but it's all about how you want to pose your figures, right? So, what else are we missing here for Darkseid? Not really that much. Overall, I thought this was a good pickup. I'm gonna tell you honestly. All right, I've been pushing off a little bit harder on the McFarlane toys here as of late because I feel like one Batman too many, like 25 Batman too many. You know, I get wanting to do iterations of Batman, but like I don't need 45 iterations of Batman. I know Batman fans are going, shut the fuck up. But the reality is, you just don't need that many Batman, right? And so I've kind of pushed back a little bit on that. But I love seeing when they venture outward into other characters that we've expected to see. Now, this is the older version of Darkseid. There is a newer one coming out, which I think is going to be way better than this particular figure. But all things being equal, I picked this one up for $19.99. So the new one's going to be priced at around $40. That's double the price of this right here, and I don't know if I'll get double the statue. So for right now, I'm going to be pleasantly pleased at the size, the scope, the detail, and the overall look of this Darkseid. So Darkseid, I think, is a quintessential piece of the DC universe, especially for the Justice Leagues. If you're collecting the Justice League, you got to pick up the Darkseid. You got to have at least one version of it. That's my opinion. That's one toy rat to another. So this is Tony the Toy Rat from McFarlane Toys. Darkseid. And I am out.